Step into the upside down, and you're not just entering a dimension of darkness, you're stepping into a time capsule. The streets of Hawkins are frozen in 1983. The Byers house stands exactly as it did the night Will vanished. Christmas lights still strung from the eaves, newspapers dating back to November of that year scattered on porches. The town's storefronts display vintage ads for Coca-Cola and Atari. Cars rust in driveways with license plates from 1983, and the air hums with the static of a world trapped in a single moment. This isn't a random quirk of the dimension. It's a puzzle. A chronology conundrum that begs the question, why is the Upside Down stuck in 1983? Is it a side effect of 11's Gate, a temporal loop tied to a fateful event, or something far more ancient? The official line, woven from the chaos of 1983, suggests the time freeze is a direct result of 11 tearing open the first gate. When she unleashed her power in Hawkins Lab that fateful day, she didn't just split the veil between worlds. She shattered the flow of time in the Upside Down, locking it into the moment the rift was created. It's a tidy explanation, one that ties the dimension's aesthetics to the most traumatic event in Hawkins' recent history. But look closer, and the cracks appear. Well, Byers wasn't just abducted in 1983. He was drawn to the Upside Down, his connection to the dimension predating the gate. When Joyce ventured into the Upside Down to rescue him, she found the Byers house not just intact, but preserved, as if time had stopped the second Will was taken. That suggests the time lock isn't tied to the gate's opening, but to Will's abduction. The moment a human soul became the bridge between two worlds. Or perhaps it's the other way around. The Upside Down latched onto 1983 because that's when the barrier between dimensions was thinnest, when the line between our reality and its shadow was first breached in a way that couldn't be undone. But what if the time freeze isn't unique to 1983? What if the Upside Down has been sticking to specific moments in Hawkins' history for centuries, each one marking a crack in the veil? Think about the Creel House, a structure that oozes the energy of the Upside Down long before 1983. In 1959, Henry Creel heard the same hum, saw the same shadows, and felt the same connection to the dimension that Will would decades later. Was the Upside Down stuck in 1959 back then, mirroring the Creel House as it stood during Henry's childhood? The evidence hints at it. Henry's drawings of twisted trees and shadowy figures match the Upside Down's landscape, as if he was sketching a dimension frozen in his own time. This suggests the Upside Down doesn't just lock into one moment. It latches onto pivotal events, moments when the barrier between worlds is weakened by trauma, power, or tragedy. 1983 is just the latest in a long line of temporal anchors, each one preserving a snapshot of Hawkins as it was when the dimension reached through. Which brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the possibility that 11's Gate wasn't the first incursion. Hawkins has always been a town of secrets, its history dotted with stories of missing people, unexplained phenomena, and whispers of a shadowland that predate Brenner's lab by centuries. Long before European settlers arrived, the Lenape people who inhabited the area spoke of a place of no return, a realm where the dead walked and the trees whispered in unknown tongues. They avoided the woods around what would become Hawkins, warning that the veil between worlds was thin there. In the 1800s, loggers reported seeing strange lights in the forest, and entire logging camps vanished overnight, their cabins abandoned with food still on the tables and tools left leaning against trees. In the 1940s, a military outpost stationed near Hawkins Lab documented unusual magnetic readings and sightings of large, reptilian creatures before it was suddenly shut down, its records classified. These aren't just ghost stories. They're echoes of past incursions, moments when the Upside Down leaked into our world, leaving traces of its presence before retreating back into the shadows. 11's Gate wasn't a creation. It was a magnification of a flaw that's existed in Hawkins' fabric for millennia. The lab's experiments didn't create the rift. They exploited a weakness that had been there since the Earth formed, a cosmic fault line where our world and the Upside Down press against each other. Brenner knew this, of course. He chose Hawkins for his lab, not by chance, but because the town's history of strange events pointed to a concentration of dimensional energy. The 1983 Gate was just the first time humanity managed to tear the veil wide open, rather than just peek through the cracks. But the deepest layer of the conundrum lies in this. The Upside Down's existence predates even Vecna's involvement, hinting at an ancient cosmic force that transcends human or monster. Vecna, for all his power, is a relative newcomer to the dimension. He stumbled upon it as a child, wielded it as a weapon, and shaped its current form to reflect his rage. But he didn't create it. The Upside Down's ecosystem, its twisted flora and fauna, its perpetual twilight, all suggest a realm that evolved long before humans walked the earth. Demogorgons aren't Vecna's minions by birth. They're native creatures, adapted to survive in a dimension of shadow and decay. The vines that crisscross the Upside Down aren't extensions of Vecna's will. They're a natural part of the dimension's landscape, predating his arrival by eons. Vecna didn't discover the Upside Down. He colonized it, bending its ancient energy to his own purposes. This raises a terrifying question. What is the Upside Down, really? It's not just a parallel world or a shadow of our reality. It's an ancient cosmic force, a realm that exists outside the bounds of human time and understanding. It's a mirror held up to our world, but one that reflects our darkest fears and oldest traumas. Its stuck-in-time aesthetic isn't a bug. It's a feature, a way for the dimension to fixate on moments of great emotional or energetic significance, moments when it can feed on the pain and chaos of our world. 1983 is just the latest chapter in a story that began when the universe was young, a story of two worlds bound by a cosmic connection that neither Eleven, nor Vecna, nor any human can fully control. The Chronology Conundrum isn't just about when the Upside Down became stuck in 1983. It's about recognizing that the dimension's timeline is not our own. It doesn't flow forward or backward. It latches onto moments, preserving them, feeding on them, and using them to strengthen its hold on our world. The multiple incursions throughout Hawkins' history aren't isolated events. They're threads in a larger tapestry, woven by an ancient force that has existed since the dawn of time. Vecna is just the latest in a long line of beings who tried to wield that force, but he's not the master of it. The Upside Down is its own entity, a cosmic power that predates all of us, and it's been waiting for centuries for the veil to thin enough to break through completely. As we unravel the mystery of the Upside Down's chronology, we realize that 1983 is just a starting point. The dimension's true history stretches back to the birth of the universe, to a time before stars, or planets, or humans. It's a realm shaped by cosmic forces, fueled by ancient energy, and fixated on our world for reasons we can barely begin to understand. Eleven's Gate, Vecna's rage, Will's abduction, all of these are just ripples on the surface of a much deeper, older story. The Chronology Conundrum isn't something we can solve with lab logs or witness statements. It's a puzzle that forces us to confront the idea that our world is just a small part of something much larger, something darker, something that has been watching and waiting since time began. And the scariest part? The Upside Down's time capsule isn't just preserving the past. It's hinting at the future. If it latches onto moments of trauma and chaos, what moment will it fixate on next? As Hawkins' veil frays further, as gates multiply and Vecna's power grows, the Upside Down may soon update its chronology, freezing a new moment in time, a moment when our world and its shadow finally merge. The conundrum isn't just about where the Upside Down came from. It's about how long we have before its ancient timeline consumes our own. We've spent 4 seasons treating the Upside Down like Hawkins' personal nightmare, a shadow tied to the town's woods, its lab, and its kids. But what if that's just the tip of the cosmic iceberg? What if the Upside Down isn't a standalone dimension, born from a child's scream or a villain's rage? What if it's a corrupted pocket, a diseased fragment of a far larger multiverse, one that stretches beyond Indiana, beyond Earth, and into the farthest reaches of the cosmos? The truth about the Upside Down isn't just about Hawkins. It's about how our world fits into a web of infinite realities, and why this one pocket turned into a breeding ground for darkness. Let's start with the basics, the multiverse, a concept that's become a cornerstone of sci-fi, but one that Stranger Things has only hinted at. At its core, the multiverse is the idea that our reality isn't the only one. There are infinite versions of Earth, infinite timelines, infinite worlds where history took a different turn. In most sci-fi, these alternate realities are distinct but functional. Think of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, where each universe has its own heroes, its own rules, its own version of reality. Or Rick and Morty, where infinite Earths mean infinite adventures and infinite disasters. Even The Flash explores parallel worlds where familiar faces have different fates. But the Upside Down doesn't fit that mold. It's not a parallel, Hawkins. It's a perverted one. Its skies are gray, its vegetation is dead, its air reeks of decay. It's not an alternate reality. It's a broken one. That's the key. The Upside Down is a pocket of the multiverse that's been corrupted, poisoned by some cosmic force that turned it from a functional reality into a realm of darkness. Hawkins isn't special because it created the Upside Down. It's special because it's a weak point in the multiverse's fabric. Think of the multiverse as a tapestry, woven from countless realities. Most of the time, the threads are strong, keeping each world separate. But Hawkins? It's a fray in that tapestry, a spot where the threads are thin, where the barrier between realities is almost non-existent. That's why strange things have always happened there. The magnetic anomalies, the unexplained disappearances, the way people like Will and Henry Creel can sense something beyond. The Upside Down didn't latch onto Hawkins by chance. Hawkins was already a crack, and the Upside Down seeped through it like rot through wood. This explains why the Upside Down's landscape mirrors Hawkins, because it's a fragment of the multiverse that got stuck to our world, a piece of the tapestry that tore off and began to decay. It's not a copy of Hawkins. It's a piece of the multiverse that became Hawkins-shaped when it clung to our reality. To put this in context, let's compare the Upside Down to other sci-fi dimensions. Take Stranger Things' own void, the white, empty space. 11 accesses with her mind. That's a realm of pure consciousness, not a physical reality. It's a bridge between minds, not between worlds. Then there's the dark dimension from Doctor Strange, a realm without time, ruled by Dormammu. It's a separate reality, but it has its own structure, its own ruler, its own purpose. The Upside Down is nothing like that. It's chaotic, decaying, and seemingly without a natural order, unless you count the rule of Vecna and the Mind Flayer. Unlike the parallel Earths and the Flash, which have their own civilizations and histories, the Upside Down is a ghost town. It's a reality that stopped evolving, that began to rot the moment it separated from the multiverse. This corruption is what makes it unique. Most multiverse worlds are alive. The Upside Down is dying, or worse, it's undead. Now, let's tackle the biggest question. How did beings like the Mind Flayer end up there? The Mind Flayer has never felt like a native of the Upside Down. It's too alien, too focused on assimilation, too disconnected from the dimension's decaying landscape. The Demogorgons and Demodogs? They fit feral, adaptive creatures that evolved to survive in a dead world. But the Mind Flayer? It's a psychic entity, a mass of shadow and tendrils that feeds on fear and seeks to merge all life into a single consciousness. That's not a creature that evolves in a vacuum. That's a creature that travels. The Mind Flayer is likely a refugee or a conqueror from another corner of the multiverse. A being from a dark, chaotic realm that feeds on corruption, drawn to the Upside Down because it's a perfect host. Here's the hypothesis. The multiverse has its own predators, beings that thrive on weak, corrupted realities. The Mind Flayer is one of them. It senses the Upside Down's decay, its proximity to our world, and it migrates there, using the dimension as a base to launch attacks on our reality. It didn't create the Upside Down's corruption, it exploited it. Vecna, in turn, recognized the Mind Flayer's power and struck a bargain, or a power grab. He uses his connection to the Upside Down to control the Mind Flayer's minions, while the Mind Flayer uses Vecna to weaken the barrier between worlds further. It's a symbiotic relationship. Two predators, one from our world's shadows and one from the multiverse's depths, working together to spread corruption. This explains why the Mind Flayer's tactics are so focused on assimilation. In other parts of the multiverse, it might have conquered entire realities by merging their inhabitants into a single hive mind. The Upside Down is just its latest target, but our world is the prize. The Mind Flayer doesn't care about the Upside Down itself. It cares about the crack in the multiverse that Hawkins represents, a way to pour its darkness into a vibrant, living reality. And Vecna, driven by his hatred of humanity, is all too happy to help. But what does this mean for the larger multiverse? If the Upside Down is a corrupted pocket, there could be others. Infinite realities mean infinite weak points, infinite pockets of decay, and infinite predators like the Mind Flayer. Hawkins isn't facing a local threat. It's facing a cosmic one. The Upside Down is a warning. The multiverse is not just a place of wonder and adventure. It's a place of danger, where darkness can seep through the cracks and consume worlds. Eleven's powers, Vecna's rage, Will's sensitivity, all of them are just pieces in a much larger game, one that's being played across the multiverse. Let's circle back to the core question. Is the Upside Down a corrupted pocket of the multiverse? The evidence fits. Its decaying structure, its connection to Hawkins' multiverse weak point, and the presence of an alien entity like the Mind Flayer, all of it points to a reality that's broken off from the multiverse and become a magnet for darkness. It's not a parallel world. It's a wound. And like any wound, it's attracting predators. This changes everything we thought we knew about Stranger Things. The fight isn't just about saving Hawkins. It's about sealing a crack in the multiverse, about keeping a cosmic predator from escaping into our reality. Vecna isn't just a villain from Hawkins's past. He's a pawn in a larger cosmic conflict, or worse, a willing ally to a force that could destroy not just our world, but countless others. The Mind Flayer isn't just a monster. It's a multiverse drifter, one that's found a new home in the Upside Down and a new target in humanity. As we look ahead to future seasons, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the Upside Down is part of a larger multiverse, then closing the gates in Hawkins might not be enough. There could be other cracks, other corrupted pockets, other Mind Flayers waiting to pounce. The multiverse has been unveiled, and it's not the friendly, infinite playground we've seen in other sci-fi. It's a dark, dangerous place, where our world is just a small, vulnerable target. The Upside Down was never just Hawkins' problem. It's a cosmic problem, a symptom of a multiverse that's full of shadows. And unless our heroes can understand that, unless they can fight not just for their town, but for the very fabric of reality, the darkness from the multiverse will keep seeping in. The veil has been lifted. The multiverse is real, and the Upside Down is just the first of its horrors to find us. After 4 seasons of shadows, gateways, and shattered truths, it's time to piece together the puzzle that Stranger Things has been hiding in plain sight. Forget the fragmented stories of lab accidents, vengeful villains, and time-stuck towns. The Upside Down is not a creation of Eleven's rage, nor a side effect of Vecna's malice, nor a random crack in the multiverse. It is an ancient, dormant dimension, one that has slumbered beneath the fabric of our reality for eons, waiting for the right catalyst to awaken it. Every strange event in Hawkins, every lost soul, every power surge has been a heartbeat in its slow, inevitable rise. This is the unified theory. The Upside Down is a cosmic sleeper, roused by humanity's most powerful moments of trauma, power, and darkness. And Vecna is not its master. He's just its most willing vessel. Let's synthesize the clues we've uncovered. For centuries, Hawkins has hummed with a strange energy, a weak point in reality where the Upside Down's dormant presence seeped through. The Lenape's warnings of a place of no return, the vanished lauders, the Creel house's haunting hum were echoes of a dimension biding its time. It wasn't until Henry Creel, a boy born with the rare ability to tune into that energy, that the first spark of awakening ignited. Henry didn't just discover the Upside Down, he stirred it. His powers, his resentment, his hunger for control resonated with the dimension's own primal darkness, forging a connection that would shape both of their fates. He became its first observer, then its experimenter, bending its raw energy to his will as he plotted his revenge against the world that rejected him. But he didn't wake it, not fully. That honor belongs to the perfect storm of power and trauma, Eleven's 1983 outburst in Hawkins Lab. When Brenner pushed her to the edge, her telekinetic blast didn't just open a gate. It delivered the final jolt to the Upside Down's slumbering core. The dimension awakened, and in its disoriented, ravenous state, it latched onto the closest reality it could find, Hawkins, 1983. That's why the Upside Down is frozen in that year. Not because the gate created the moment, but because the moment created the gate. The dimension clung to the trauma of Will's abduction, the chaos of the lab's collapse, and the raw power of Eleven's scream, using that snapshot of time as an anchor to stabilize itself in our world. It's not stuck in 1983. It's rooted there, fed by the lingering pain of that fateful year. Vecna's banishment to the Upside Down didn't just change him, it gave the awakened dimension an architect. The Upside Down, newly roused but formless, needed a mind to shape it, a will to direct its chaos. Vecna, with his hatred of humanity and his innate connection to the dimension, stepped into that role. He wove its vines into networks of control, turned its creatures into soldiers, and recreated Hawkins as a prison of his own memories. But here's the critical twist. Vecna isn't controlling the Upside Down. The Upside Down is using him. It recognized his hunger for power, his desire to purge the flawed from existence, and aligned its own goals with his. The dimension doesn't care about Vecna's revenge. It cares about spreading, about breaking free of its dormant state and consuming our reality. Vecna is just a tool, a puppet whose strings are pulled by a force far older and more cosmic than he could ever comprehend. Which brings us to the true big bad, the Upside Down itself. Not as a place, but as a sentient, ancient entity. A cosmic parasite that slumbers for millennia, awakening only when powerful enough catalysts, beings like Henry Creel or Eleven, stir it from its rest. It feeds on trauma, fear, and chaos, using those emotions to strengthen its connection to our world. The Mind Flayer? It's not a separate villain. It's the entity's appendage, a psychic extension of the Upside Down's will, designed to assimilate and corrupt, to turn our world into a mirror of its own darkness. Vecna thinks he's using the Mind Flayer to build his empire. But in reality, the Mind Flayer is using Vecna to weaken the barrier between worlds, to prepare our reality for the Upside Down's full invasion. This explains every loose end. Why Hawkins is the center of the chaos. It's the entity's chosen anchor, the weak point where it first awakened. Why the Upside Down mirrors Hawkins. It's mimicking the world it intends to consume. Why beings like Will and Joyce can sense it. They're sensitives, people whose souls resonate with the entity's energy, unknowingly acting as bridges between worlds. Even Brenner's experiments make sense. He was unknowingly studying the entity's energy, trying to weaponize a force that was already weaponizing humanity. So what does this mean for the future of Stranger Things? The fight against Vecna is just the beginning. Even if our heroes defeat him, the Upside Down entity will remain angry, awakened, and more determined than ever to break through. We're likely to uncover deeper layers of Hawkins' history, digging into ancient sites where the entity's presence has lingered for centuries, perhaps a forgotten Lenape burial ground, a hidden cave system pulsing with its energy, or even the foundations of Hawkins Lab itself, built atop a sacred site meant to contain the darkness. We may meet other sensitives from around the world, people who felt the entity's touch in their own towns, hinting that Hawkins isn't the only anchor, it's just the first to fully awaken. And what if Vecna isn't the only vessel? The entity has had eons to plant seeds of darkness in humanity. Could there be others? People with powers, with resentment, with the potential to become the next architect of its invasion. What if Eleven's powers aren't just a gift, but a curse? A sign that she's deeply intertwined with the entity, capable of either destroying it or becoming its most powerful weapon. These are the questions that will drive future seasons, as our heroes realize they're not fighting a villain. They're fighting a god. A cosmic force that has outlived empires and will outlive them, unless they can find a way to put it back to sleep. The unified theory changes everything. It turns the story of a small town's nightmare into an epic battle for the soul of our reality. Vecna is a threat, yes, but he's a symptom of a far greater evil. The Upside Down is not a place to be closed off. It's a beast to be tamed. And as the entity's power grows, as more gates open, as more sensitives are drawn into its orbit, the stakes will rise beyond Hawkins. The fight will no longer be about saving a town. It will be about saving humanity from being consumed by the ancient darkness it unwittingly awakened. We've only scratched the surface of the Upside Down's true nature. What other secrets does Hawkins hold? What is the entity's origin? Was it born from the Big Bang, a failed universe, or something even more incomprehensible? And is there a way to stop it? Or are we merely delaying the inevitable? These are the lingering questions that will keep us on the edge of our seats, waiting for the next season to unravel the final layer of the puzzle. One thing is certain, the Upside Down is no longer a dormant threat. It's awake, it's hungry, and it's coming for us all. The only question is, will our heroes be ready to face the true face of darkness?